So I have just finished using the Jaclyn Hill palette, the first collab with Morphe. If you are curious to know what I thought of it, then stick around. Hi there, it's Hélène with a brand new video, and this is the outcome of the number of days I spent with the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe collab, the first one, not the vault. So I ended up using the Jaclyn Hill palette for a total of 12 days, which is kind of in the middle range of how long I usually do brand new focus, what the duration of brand new focus trials are. If you're not familiar with my brand new focus series, I focus on, usually it's centered around a palette, although I will probably be getting into skincare as well. But it's for now, it's usually around a set of makeup or a palette as the central feature. And in this case, in this brand new focus, it was only a palette because I had nothing else from Morphe, and at this point I'm not all that interested in trying their face products, liners or lipsticks. So long story short, I used the Jaclyn Hill palette for 12 days. I used all except for one shade, and I am ready to talk about it. So let's take a look. So if you're not familiar with it, although it's all over YouTube, the Jaclyn Hill palette has this look on the inside. If you want to see the intro video to the brand new focus, I will put it up in the cards. But this is what the palette looks like, right? Pretty nice. And I mentioned in my brand new focus intro that I had not so great feelings about this palette, and most of it had to do with the fact that it cost me an arm and a leg because I'm in Canada to get this palette. Now Morphe, I'm happy to say, now has a Canadian warehouse. And I just decided that I wanted to try the new Morphe formula, which this palette contains, and wanted to finally just get over myself and to see if I could fall in love with this palette, because it is in my collection, and I mean, it's 35 shades that I was bound to find some aspects of this palette that I liked. Well, I more than achieved that. I really, really like. I won't say I love, but I very much like this palette. And so I'd like to go over what it is that I like, what it is that I don't like so much, and so that you can see why it has, it is in my favor for sure as far as the kind of group of palettes that are my favorites. I think that this one is making like the top third of my eyeshadow palettes. So there are 35 shades in here. There's a mix of metallics and shimmers and satin finishes, and I say metallics, like they're just like chunkier shimmer shades. And then a bunch of mattes, and you can really pretty easily see the mattes in here. A lot of browns, some yellows, some beiges, and a couple of more maroony, rusty colors. I pretty much enjoyed the whole palette. If you're curious to know what I'm wearing on my eyes today, I'm wearing MFEO here. I'm wearing this one, which is Pooter. I'm wearing Twerk, this color, which is absolutely not what it looks like in the pen. You can see it's kind of a purple. It has a shift to it, a purple shift to the blue. And I'm also wearing Little Little Lady up here. So really, really a neat array of colors. Do I think that the palette needed to be 35 shades? No, I just think 35 is a Morphe number. Their palettes are often 35 pans. And I think that if we take a look at all the beiges, we've got these couple, we've got quite a few in here, like ignore the red and the rust, but browns and beiges, we have a lot of them. And I think that it would have been possible to reduce the number. As well, there are a lot. I think there's at least one too many pink shimmers in here. Maybe one could have been one less brown shimmer. So we've got this one here, we've got a couple here, we've got a couple here. So, I mean, are they different? Yes, they are different. Are they different enough to merit each being in the palette? I would say probably not. So in the 12 days, I managed to do 12 very different looks. I mentioned that there was a color that I did not use, though I swatched repeatedly, and it was this one. And it was just, I'm probably going to use it this weekend. I just didn't trust that that green would go with my green eyes. I thought it would clash quite a bit, although this one, Diva, looks pretty good despite the fact that it is green on green eyes. I'm going to use it. I thought of putting it in my lower lash line today, but I was like, I've got an event tonight. I don't want to look funny. So like I said, I'm probably going to use it over the next couple of days. But overall, there is not a single eye look that I thought was lousy. I even used Pool Party, which is a really cool color, on my inner lid a couple days ago. And I filmed a video with it too. And it looked really good. It's not an overpowering color, but it is pretty intense for the inner lid. And it looked really good. So I'd like to tell you how often I used each shade from left to right, top to bottom, for this palette, and give you an idea of what I thought of each of them as we go through it, so that you can get a sense of what I went back to, if that is of interest. Now, the one caveat on this is because there's so many beigey browns of different hues, very often I didn't go back to a given color because I was like, okay, well, I need to use another beigey brown, right? So there was a lot of selection in that area, and the same thing with the lighter pinky beige shimmers. So just keep that in mind as we go through, okay? So here we go. I did not use a whole lot of the highlight because in my project pan I have a highlighter for the brow bone, so I tended to use that one. But I did use Enlight once and then Beam twice, and out of the two I do prefer Beam. Silk Cream I used once. MFEO I used 4 times, so I really liked this one as just for my skin tone as a transition color was great. And I do like, despite the fact that there are lots of beigey browns, I'm pretty sure that most of us can find a transition color that suits our skin tone. So that is one plus of this palette. The next one was Faint. This one I used twice. I used Sissy twice. Now Sissy is actually it's a neat shift of a shimmer, but it is pretty chunky. So I don't know if you can see on my finger, it's really chunky. I'll just swatch it for you. It does swatch okay, but actually you can see it on the swatch that it's pretty chunky. I'll just try to smooth it out. But it's a really nice color. But I have to say that when you pick it up with your finger or with a brush, it is a little bit of a surprise. Sorry for the interruption. I just had to get a towel here because my fingers are getting all messed up and I don't want to mess up the palette. Okay, so that was Sissy, which I used twice. And then I also used Little Lady twice. And Little Lady is what I have on my inner lid today. So that is what it looks like. So I've got Twerk on the outer side and a Little Lady on the inner corner, as I mentioned before. Now, Creamsicle, I really enjoyed this color. And actually, when I had a look that involved Creamsicle, this one is Pukey, and this one Enchanted? Yeah, Enchanted. I ended up with a real Subculture vibe. The same as Subculture by Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now this turns out more of a powdery kind of olivey green on the eye, and it looked really good. So if you're into that kind of a grungy grouping of colors, you can definitely get that with this palette. And it was a look that looked, I mean, I was really happy with it. I didn't even know where I was going when I got to the palette. And every day that I used this, actually, I was not sure what my look was going to be. I was like, okay, what am I going to do today? Which was a lot of fun. Okay, so the creamsicle I just talked about once. Butter once. Pooter I used twice. This one. Pukey I used once. That was a little bit ago. Hunts. I liked this color. I really had to be careful not to keep using it, so I ended up just using it once, but I definitely could have used it more often. Firework, I really liked. I think I ended up using these two together, actually. Queen, very pretty color, definitely royal-like. Actually, was curious about using this one with royal, pardon me. So Queen and Royal, I think, would be a good combination. Next one, Obsessed. I ended up using it twice, and I liked this color quite a bit. I'll show you it, actually. It's a shimmer that surprised me. It was really nice. It was very, very bam on the inner lid. Very, very shiny as a shimmer. I liked it. It doesn't, I don't know if it really comes out on camera, but it has a beigey, pinky, bronzy look. Like, it looks really neat. But I used that one twice and thought, oh, I could use this again. SBN, this guy I used twice. Hilster I used once. I like it. It's a bit of a darker shimmer, so I probably would prefer it on the outer lid. Roxanne I used twice. I really like this one. I used it yesterday, in fact. Jax I also used yesterday. Really a nice color. It's they were really intriguing together. And Buns I used twice. Cranapple, I really liked this one. I would definitely recommend this one. As a matter of fact, this one and this one together looked really good. As well, using this one too. It doesn't look like it, but this one has like a reddish purple to it. This one was called Soda Pop. Okay, so I used, let's go back to it. I used this one once, as I said. Royalty I used once. It was a very pretty purple. Really liked it. I used this one once. Twerk, I used it today, as I said. Hustle once. Meeks once. And Meeks I actually enjoyed all three of these, I have to say. Although, do I think all three of them are necessary? No, I don't. This one is called 24/7, and I almost ended up using this one twice. Chip, which is a nice, just chocolatey brown, I used a lot, but I used it mostly as liner. As a matter of fact, I only used it as liner by what I can see here. And Mocha, I did use as an outer lid shade, but also definitely could use it as a liner. Pool Party I used once. Jade, as I mentioned, I did not use, but I'm planning on it. I've used this one once, Diva. I used Enchanted twice. Oh no, sorry, Diva I used twice. Pardon me, Diva I used twice. Enchanted I used twice. Central Park I only used once, but definitely I could have easily used Central Park or Chip interchangeably. I didn't find them all that different. Soda Pop I just mentioned, that one I used once, and also Abyss I used once. Now, I don't tend to use matte blacks all that much to deepen up colors, so I'm sure that that would be useful for some people. I just don't think that every palette needs a matte black. For the folks who are always belly aching about needing a transition color and needing a highlight and needing a matte black, then you will be very happy with this palette. For me, it is absolutely not a deal breaker. So for me, easily this palette could have been knocked down to 30 shades or even knocked down to 25. Given though that she had 25 shades to pick, am I mad at what she chose? No. Even if we take away that pop effect that Thrifty Beauty talks about, I still think that it is a solid palette color-wise. If you compare it to what Morphe usually comes out with, there's a bigger color range in the neutral shades left when you take out the heavy duty colors. So I think that for 35 shades, it is reasonable. I just don't think it needed to be this big. So for me, the question is this going to be a palette that I'm going to reach for? Is this a palette that has convinced me that I might be wanting to look at more from Morphe? Yes. And to me, that is the ultimate test. And I really, really like this formula. There's definitely some kick up in the pans, which I don't care about, but I thought I would mention it. So I would be sweeping out like off the fallout when I was done doing my eye, which I do my eyes after my makeup. There was never a problem with wiping off the color. Now, keep in mind, Subculture is one of my favorite palettes. So obviously kick up is not a big deal for me. I really don't care, but I thought I would mention it. I would argue that all of them, when I look at it, all of the shimmers, I did apply first with a brush, but always finished with my ring finger. I think they applied a lot better this way. Value for money, I think, is there, even though, and I have mentioned it in too many videos, I won't start on a rant again. I paid about 70 bucks Canadian for this, so it's about $2 a shade. If I were in a drugstore and I got to buy this whole pack at $2 a shade, I would think it was a steal. So I'm not mad at the value for money I got, especially since, in my estimation, there are no real duds in this palette. I mean, there are many other palettes that cost more per shade than this one, where there's one or two duds. So I'm very satisfied with the quality of the product. And I've heard a lot of crap about Morphe products. Obviously, this formula is not one that I would say has an issue, at least not for me. Yeah, I am delighted. I was pleasantly surprised. Will I keep using it? Absolutely. Like I said, it's going to be at least in my top 3. We'll see what happens over the next number of months, or given it's a palette, over the next number of years as far as how I use it. Because to me, we can say whatever we like, but really it's in our behavior that we can really see which palettes we love the most. So yeah, I'm not mad that I did a brand new focus on this palette. I think the 12 days were well deserved. I was not in a hurry to get through using this palette. I'm looking forward to doing another brand new focus, but it was a really good experience, and I'm happy about that, because as Kathleen Lights would say, this was expensive. So I don't think there's much more for me to say. I think it's a good purchase. And now that Morphe is in Canada, you can get this for, if you're Canadian, for $49, I think, Canadian. And if you just top up your purchase a little bit to $60, you can get it shipped to you at no cost. Of course, these numbers don't include taxes for whichever province you live in. If you are in the US, good for you. You can get it at Ulta with all the Ulta points and discounts that you can get for this palette. So I think that now that it is more available mainstream through a number of locations, that it's much more affordable to get, and especially if you can get it for 40 US, 50 Canadian or less, I think that it is in the ballpark of where I would consider it to be very good value. So I think that's all I have to say. So yes, thumbs up on this one. I will continue to use, and I have a favorable review. And if you have looked at my videos over the last number of uploads, I have been wearing the Jaclyn Hill palette. So if you are curious, every video I have exactly every shadow that I have on my eye in the description box. Actually, everything that is on my face is written out in the description box below, so that you can always, if you're curious about something that is on my face, you can find out what exactly it is. So that is it for this video. Thank you for joining me. I hope it was useful. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content on this channel in general, I would love for you to subscribe. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But for now, take care.